Good evening. Welcome to tonight's live stream. I am going to get started in a moment. I just need to let everybody know that the stream is currently on the air. Okay, now that I've let everybody know that the stream is currently on the air, I'm just going to get into tonight's topic. And tonight's topic is me following up on Thursday's video where I talked about actress Vivica Fox and her quest to go out here and look for another man. Now, according to Vivica Fox, she says she's taking applications for a man at 59 going on 60 years old, and my only response is to the only thing I can think about regarding Vivica Fox and her whole crazy idea about looking to get a date for 50, 60 is this classic ad. I mean, that's the only thing I can think about regarding Vivica Fox and her so-called talking about she's taking applications for a partner. I mean, it's just the most hilarious thing I have ever heard in my life, and the most hilarious thing that it's just too hilarious to me. And the only thing I can think about again is this. Come on down the bus downtown where you can get a date for 50, 60, 70, even 80% off the original social marketplace price. I mean, when I listen to Vivica Fox's entire statement, it's just absolute pure comedy. She's sitting here talking about how she's taking applications for a partner at 60 years old, and that whole approach that she's using basically shows me where Vivica Fox's head is still not on right as related to relationships, even as she starts to enter old age. I mean, what's really sad about Vivica Fox is that at 59 years old, she still doesn't see how everything in her head is completely backwards as related to relationships. And when I look at Vivica Fox, she basically fits the pattern and profile for everything I talk about regarding feminist indoctrinated women that I talk about in my book, The Woman Crisis. And when I look at Vivica Fox, she basically is a woman in crisis because she's still applying a feminist approach to relationships, not understanding that this is the reason why she hasn't been able to keep a man or be able to make a relationship work with a man. Now, when you listen to that statement that she made in People magazine, basically talking about how she's taking applications for a partner. That's the start of everything going wrong for her, because what she's doing when she says she's taking applications is looking to be in a leadership role as related to the relationship. And that's been the thing that has undermined Vivica Fox ever since she was young. I mean, basically, she's sitting here at 59 years old talking about how she's taking applications. And that really, again, shows me that she's not looking to be a helpmeet to a man, and she's not looking to follow the lead of a man in a relationship. No, what she's looking to do is still be the leader in an effort to try to find that perfect partner. And in that effort to try to find that perfect partner, she's sitting there thinking that she is still the one in the driver's seat. Now, what's the big other problem with Vivica Fox, in addition to her thinking that she's the leader in the relationship, is she's also out here looking to go out and try to think that she's the one who's supposed to be taking applications. And again, what that whole idea of taking applications shows that she's still trying to be the leader and still thinking that she can go out here and be the boss as related to relationships, not understanding that when it comes to relationships, most men have always looked for a woman to be a follower. And the problem is Vivica Fox is not interested in following the lead of a man. And that shows as she's talking about taking applications. Now, the whole applications thing is hilarious to me because at 59 years old, there ain't no guy out here looking to fill out no application for no 59-year-old woman, because at 59 going on 60 years old, basically if you don't have a partner at this point, you ain't got no business in the social marketplace. And Vivica Fox basically wound up wearing out her welcome in the social marketplace many years ago when she blew both of her chances in the social marketplace. And she blew both of her chances in the social marketplace due to the social miseducation she got as related to being indoctrinated into feminism, because it was that indoctrination into feminism that basically put her on the road to dysfunction. Now, Vivica Fox basically had opportunities at relationships back when she was in her prime. Unfortunately, due to the dysfunctional way she had been raised as related to how relationships worked, she wound up getting involved with the wrong man back in the 1990s. And she got involved with this musician who basically was a guy. He had a deal that was supposed to be coming out as related to Death Row Records, and everything was lining up to make that deal just about happen. And sadly, that deal wasn't able to happen because of the death of Tupac Shakur. And as a result, this guy basically wasn't able to start motivating himself to go out here and get another deal going. And what Vivica Fox says is that this man just didn't have that motivation to go out here and be out here to persevere to get success. And what happened was she wound up divorcing that man because she, in her words, said that she didn't want to be the breadwinner. Now, when I looked at the whole picture of Vivica Fox's first marriage, it basically was her out here, I believe, competing with her husband. And what happened is that she was really aggressive and competitive about going out here and getting acting jobs, not understanding that her husband was in a different field as related to music. And in that field, it was a different environment that husband was going through. And after losing the deal, this guy, he had basically gotten his confidence shattered. And instead of her looking to encourage him to go out here and try to be better, instead, what Vivica Fox did was what many women do who are feminists. They look to compete with their man. And that competition made it where that man didn't really get that support as related to things. And because he didn't get that support, the entire marriage fell apart because Vivica Fox didn't see this guy being a guy who was out here being active and competitive. Again, he had basically lost his self-confidence because the whole deal with everything fell apart because of the death of Tupac Shakur. But I look at that guy, basically, he didn't really have that confidence to go out here and persevere, because some guys, after one guy dies, they go, okay, I'm going to go out here and persevere and try to get another deal. I'm going to try to go out here and find another gig. But Vivica Fox wasn't really patient or understanding about her first husband. And because she wasn't patient or understanding about her first husband, that marriage basically fell apart in 2002. And when that marriage fell apart in 2002, what happened with Vivica Fox is this, I believe, did some real damage to her whole idea of relationships, because once that relationship with this guy wound up failing, this made it where she had a hard time trusting a man. And as she had this hard time trusting men, this basically made it where she had a hard time being able to connect with another man in a relationship. And that basically started her further down the road to the paradigm of failure. Now, I go in depth on the paradigm of failure in my book, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single. And as I read about Vivica Fox's background as related to her relationships, she basically was on the road to the paradigm of failure as related to her first marriage, because she basically was looking for this, try to change this man into some sort of success. And when that wound up failing, the whole relationship fell apart. And then she was still stuck with the emotional trauma as related to that relationship failing. And she carried that baggage on with her into her future relationships. And that's what led to her winding up getting involved with Curtis 50 Cent Jackson later on. And as she got involved with Curtis 50 Cent Jackson, she wound up finding out that that relationship didn't work either. And it didn't work because what happened with Curtis 50 Cent Jackson was Vivica Fox started doubling down on the feminism, not looking to submit to the authority of Curtis Jackson and not looking to submit to his authority, basically causing that man friction. And as she caused that man friction, because she didn't want to build with that man in a relationship, this is where Vivica Fox started to really have real problems in that relationship. But her whole relationship basically paradigm wound up starting to be a disaster, because every time she would get involved with men, she basically just had a really bad picker. And this is another problem that many feminist indoctrinated women have, because they really don't understand the whole courtship process. And Vivica Fox, from when I read about her, she really didn't understand the courtship process. And she didn't understand that with the courtship process, you really do need your parents involved to be able to vet the men you get involved with. Because if Vivica Fox had gotten a father involved as related to the courtship she had with that musician that she had her first marriage with Christopher 6ix9ine Harvest, a father would have easily figured out that this guy basically was not ready for marriage. I mean, when I read about this Christopher 6ix9ine Harvest, this guy definitely was not ready for marriage, because if he wound up getting to a point where, oh, everything was hinging on a music deal, and the music deal falls apart and his confidence falls apart, that's not a guy who was ready for a marriage. And she said this herself in an interview. She was basically not getting married to this man for love. No, she was getting married because all her friends were getting married, and she wanted to have a ceremony with a man in order for him to be an attachment to say that she was married. So the entire foundation for the marriage was not a strong one. And with the foundation for the marriage not being a strong one, all it took was something to make it fall apart. And again, this man was not in a position to be a leader. And again, Vivica Fox was not looking to submit to his authority. No, Vivica Fox wasn't looking to submit to that man's authority. And that's what led to her first marriage falling apart. She basically picked a partner without the father vetting that man. And then she got involved for the wrong reasons, which was peer pressure and looking to be accepted by other people, instead of looking to bond and connect with her husband and work with her husband towards building towards whatever goals he had. And the man himself didn't really have strong goals. And that all led to Vivica Fox leading to her having that whole first relationship that fell apart, that started her paradigm of failure. And as she had this paradigm of failure start out with her first relationship, as she went on to have other relationships, they didn't work out. I mean, she had the relationship with Curtis 50 Cent Jackson. Then she had a relationship with a club promoter, Omar Slim White, which wound up breaking up after 10 months. And again, if we look at the pattern of those relationships, they all wound up failing, and failing over a shorter period of time. I mean, she had the 4-year marriage. She then had the relationship with 50 Cent Jackson. Then she had the relationship at 2011. And after 2011, she didn't have any more relationships after that. So we're talking about from 2011 to about 2024. So Vivica Fox has been single for over 13 years. And over 13 years, she's basically been struggling as related to relationships because most guys didn't really want anything to do with her. And now she wants to come out and say that she's taking applications for a man, taking applications when it comes to the social marketplace. Her options in the social marketplace are basically slim and none. And basically, Slim wound up leaving town way back in 2011. So she's sitting here talking about there's going to be applications. And this proves another point that I talk about in my book, The Woman Crisis. And that point is that many of these feminist indoctrinated women oftentimes believe that they have all the time in the world to find a partner. And sadly, Vivica Fox still believes that she has all the time in the world, even at 59, going on 60 years old. And that's all based on a lie that feminists have told women over the years, and told them that they can just sit here and wait to have that perfect relationship after they go out here and establish their careers. This is a notion that feminists have come up with because they want to be like men, not understanding that when men go out here and say they want to establish themselves, it's because men start out at the bottom and they want to work to get themselves established in order to get themselves in a place where they can have everything together as related to their household. But women think they can be like men. And that's what Vivica Fox believes. She can be just like a man. She thinks she can do the same things that a man can do as related to relationships. And that's where she got it all twisted, thinking at 59 years old, she can go out here and have guys looking at her like they did in her prime, because that's all of the whole notion of having all the time in the world. Is a lot of these women still think that they are still the same woman they were in their primes. And that's what Vivica Fox really believes. She still believes that she's still the same woman that she was in her prime. I mean, she still thinks she's the same woman she was in her prime. She still thinks she's the same hot chick she was in her prime, but she's not the same hot chick she was in her prime. No, her whole body has changed. And instead of her looking like the young hot chick from the 1990s that I'm going to show you in a minute, what we have here is a picture of Vivica Fox on the right. And if you look at the picture of Vivica Fox on the right, it clearly shows how she's changed from the young slim hottie into the old auntie. And the old auntie is sitting up here with a face full of plastic surgery, done gained a whole bunch of weight, and is wearing a big weave on the back of her head. Basically doesn't want to see how she's basically gone beyond hitting the wall, and she's just gotten older, and wants us to believe that she's still the same woman. But the whole thing is she's an old woman. She's basically auntie or grandma at this point. And auntie and grandma is not going to be the hottie who enters the social marketplace at the same social marketplace value when she was in her prime. I mean, prime Vivica Fox basically could walk into the social marketplace and have her whole choice of black men because she's in her prime, and again is extremely attractive, and basically is in a place where she can go out here and have children for a man. But the whole thing is, the Vivica Fox basically squandered those years. She squandered those years by getting involved with the wrong men, like that 6ix9ine guy who basically was one of these musicians who really didn't have his head in the game and wasn't ready to take a leadership role. She squandered 4 of her best years of her life with that dude, then squandered even more time with guys in the music industry, not really thinking about looking to find a quality partner who had the right values and the right mindset as related to a relationship. And this is where many feminist indoctrinated women get it twisted. They get caught up in a guy's social currency, thinking that that's the kind of guy you want to get with. And that's what Vivica Fox made a mistake in. She thought, oh, I'll go out here and get with these guys who have this high social marketplace value as related to social currency, these musicians, these entertainers who have a lot of flash. But she didn't think about getting involved with a guy who had substance, a guy who had a vision and a direction in his life. No, she wasn't thinking about trying to find a quality brother with a job, with a decent job or a business that was going somewhere. No, she got involved with entertainers, and she got involved with entertainers who were in a place that was far beneath her, mainly because she was insecure about having to submit to their authority and be with a place where she had to submit to them. And what she wanted to do was be the one running the relationship, and got frustrated when she said, oh, I got tired of having to take care of a man. Well, why did you get involved with a dude who you knew basically didn't have his stuff together from minute one? That would be the critical question I would ask Vivica Fox about the first man she got married to. Again, basically because she wanted to get clout. I mean, why would you get involved with a guy who you knew basically wasn't there? I mean, that's the critical question I have to ask. And why would you get involved with a guy like Curtis 50 Cent Jackson, who at the time was on his way to trying to build himself up, but then you didn't want to submit to his leadership? And why would you get involved with another guy who's in the club business? I mean, I look at Vivica Fox, and when I look at the guy she was picking, she really had no good understanding of how to pick a man. And she really didn't know that, again, when you get involved with a man, you really need people around you to vet this dude. That's where she made her mistakes. And those mistakes basically cost her her prime years. And as she lost her prime years, she basically wound up being one of these black women who were single, again, sitting up here bitter and angry, with the grill cooking up sausages, cooking up hamburgers, cooking up fish and shish kebabs, mad about not being able to make a relationship work, and looking at men and saying that things about men, when in actuality, she was the one who didn't know how to make a relationship work, and primarily didn't know how to make a relationship work because she really did not understand her role in God's natural order. And that basically shows with that whole statement, I'm taking applications. Again, when it comes to women, women have to understand a man is not interested in taking an application for a woman, because taking an application means you're putting yourself in a submissive position. And the only person who puts themselves in a submissive position is a simp. That's the only guy who's going to go out here and say, oh, I'll walk up to a woman who is 59 going on 60 years old, a woman who is basically aged out of the social marketplace, and say, I'm going to fill out an application. I mean, the only dudes who are going to do that are the most pathetic of simps. And usually, as related to that group of pathetic simps, those guys have exited the marketplace a long time ago. And the whole thing with the social marketplace, that Vivica Fox thinks that people are going to be filling out applications. I mean, the pickings are extremely slim. And that was shown to us with Tia Mowry. Now, if anybody remembers Tia Mowry, she was the one who divorced her husband, Corey Hardrick, last year or so. And after she divorced Corey Hardrick, she was out here talking about she wanted to enter the world of dating. And she got a rude awakening when she entered that dating marketplace. Now, Tia Mowry is 15 years younger than Vivica Fox. And being 15 years younger than Vivica Fox, she basically got the shock of her life when she entered the social marketplace and found out that the prospects of guys out here were slim and none, and slim left town. And when she entered the social marketplace, she was shocked to find out that there were no hot guys that she could go out here and replace Corey Hardrick with. There were no high-value men that she could replace Corey Hardrick with. No, the only guys that Tia Mowry found at 44 going on 45 years old were old Pookie, who was still living with his mama almost 40 years later, old Ray Ray, who was working security at the Denny's, and then at a night job where he was going out here working security at the at the 99-cent store. I mean, and she was also finding Romy Rome, who was going to the club, hoping to find some woman who would be willing to accept his two-piece chicken dinner or his shrimp fried rice and chicken wings, or possibly find one of his or extra value meal where he could trade that in exchange for her dropping the skid mark Victoria's Secret thong and allowing him to put the wrinkled carbon rod inside of the atomic waste reactor, and him being able to get a taste of the atomic waste for the price of an extra value meal. I mean, those are the only single men that remain in the social marketplace in that age range of women like Tia Mowry, who again is 15 years younger than Vivica Fox. And when it comes to Vivica Fox and men in her age range, again, the pickings get even slimmer and next to none, because basically at that point, all the guys have basically died out, and they've all basically died out at that point. So at 59 going on 60 years old, she's sitting up here saying she's taking applications for a man, but there ain't no men in the social marketplace, because usually what happens in the social marketplace is usually the quality men get taken off the market when women are young. And when there are older guys on the social marketplace, guys in my age range and a bit older, those guys basically wind up getting snatched up even before they enter the social marketplace, because many women see those guys and they run up on them and snatch them off the marketplace before they can even step into the marketplace, because once they get their money up, there are chicks checking for them, and those guys have more options. And again, they can either go young get involved with young women their age if they're pretty decent and they feel like they don't want to go out here and they're already established and their money is already up. And those guys can also go out here and get involved with younger women. So when guys out here look at Vivica Fox talking about you need to fill out an application and meet her criteria, they basically look at her and laugh at her. And they laugh at her because they know that they don't have to consider her for anything, because they have better options out here than dealing with a 60-year-old woman who basically has aged out of the social marketplace and is basically on the road to bust downtown in apartment 8A right across the street from people like Halle Berry and Tia Mowry, with the balcony view of the graveyard, where she can look and see the future residence that she will remain in. I mean, most guys basically know that they don't have to deal with no older woman. No, they know that they don't have to deal with her because she's basically going to come with a lot of emotional baggage And as related to past relationships, she's going to come with a lot of emotional trauma from past relationships. And she's also going to come with the spirits and DNA of other men attached to her. So she's not going to be in a place where she can connect and bond with him. So when guys look at Vivica Fox, they don't see anybody they want to go out here and take the time to go out here and fill out some application. I mean, that's a job no man wants. No man wants to be in a place where they're in a subordinate position to a 60-year-old woman who they cannot lead, they cannot teach anything, cannot follow direction or instruction. I mean, no man wants to get involved with a woman who's already set in her ways, wants to do things her way, wants to talk about her career, her goals, and her accomplishments. That's not a woman any guy wants to deal with as related to a relationship. And when people look at Vivica Fox, they're not seeing a woman they want to work with in a relationship. I mean, the whole idea of dating is supposed to be where you're trying to find somebody who you would think would be a viable partner for marriage. But with Vivica Fox at 60 years old, she's not a viable partner for a marriage, because when a person goes out here and pursues a relationship with a woman, the ultimate goal is to find out if this person is somebody you can go out and marry and somebody you can work with as a helpmeet to help meet your needs as a man towards building a relationship and building a family. And that's not possible with Vivica Fox towards having a relationship where you can build towards a marriage, because again, she's already got the spirits and DNA of other men inside of her, and she's also not able to bond with you. And since she cannot bond with you, there's no way you can have a relationship with her or ever get close to her, because she's been with these other men, and those spirits of those other men are basically going to create an emotional wall that will prevent her from ever being able to connect with you. Moreover, when it comes to trying to work with her in a relationship, she's not really interested in marriage. So why would a man want to waste his time spending it with a woman if there's no immediate long-term goal as related to marriage? That's where Vivica Fox gets it twisted as related to this application process. She doesn't understand that if you have nothing to offer, why would a man want to apply for a relationship with her at all? I mean, why would a dude want to go get involved with a woman where there's no real end goal as related to the relationship? I mean, there's no end goal as related to marriage. There is no end goal as related to being able to have children with this woman, because she's basically menopausal and cannot bear you children. So there's no reason for a man to even think about considering a Vivica Fox at 60 years old. No, most guys look at Vivica Fox and say, yeah, she's sitting up here talking about she's taking applications. She's looking for guys to come up to her and see if there's things that's out here talking about she's not wanting to go out here and date or get on an app. But again, the whole thing is that guys don't really care at this point. You blew your shot at quality men at that point, because you are basically not somebody guys are checking for. I mean, when it comes to Vivica Fox, nobody's checking for her. I mean, she's got everything is all busted. I mean, she's just like an 89 Yugo with over 300,000 miles, with a blown transmission and a blown head gasket. And it would cost more than she is worth to get involved with her. And she's still got this idea that she's still some sort of prize, thinking that high value men are going to check for her. Well, the whole social marketplace, I believe, would give her a ruder awakening than what Tia Mowry received. I mean, Tia Mowry, again, 15 years younger than Vivica Fox, and Tia Mowry basically got a rude awakening when she entered that dating market, and found those prospects were just slim to none. And You have someone who is 15 years older, and she's going to walk into the social marketplace and get the shock of her life when she finds the pool of men basically is completely dried up at this point, because at 60 years old, again, there's all the guys that she thinks that are out here who were checking for her when she was young. Again, many of those men are married. Many of those men have children and homes of their own. And many of those men who are alive already are obligated. And the few single guys out there, again, some of them have one foot in the grave and the other on a banana peel. And a lot of them are not thinking about spending the rest of their days with a deeply troubled woman who is going to be difficult and high maintenance. That's what Vivica Fox doesn't understand. Again, when men are already got their obligations and already are in the age stage of their relationships where things are just about over, what they're doing is saying, okay, I'm at this stage. Because if you think about a man who's from the age of about 50 to 60, that man, in many cases, either he's married and he's got his kids going to college, or they're on their first jobs, and he's not really thinking about looking to get in no dating marketplace because he's already obligated with his wife, or in some cases his baby mama, and getting his kids to the graduation. So he's in a different stage of life, and he ain't really thinking about putting in no application for no washed up actress who is more washed up than a pair of briefs on the spin cycle. No, ain't no dude out here checking for no woman who is basically on her way out, thinking about putting in an application to go out here and have a relationship with this woman, or have some good time with some older woman who curved him when he was young. Because what Vivica Fox is doing right now is the same thing of many memes I've seen, where these women will sit there and say, they'll slight the guys when they're younger and attractive, but then when they get old and out of shape, that's when they want to call themselves stepping to a dude. And that's when guys just don't even pay her no attention outside of a simp like Cleveland Brown on the Cleveland Show. Now, Cleveland Brown on the Cleveland Show, he would basically go for that deal because he's thinking he's getting a second chance with the girl of his dreams, not understanding that you're not getting a second chance. She's basically coming to you because she's running out of options. And that's what Vivica Fox is doing right now. And what she wanted to do to make herself appear to be somebody that is an asset is talking about she's taking applications, when in actuality, she's desperate for attention. And as she's desperate for attention, she's looking out here hoping that some simp will go out here and look to put in an application. But most men at this point, at that age, they're established, their money is tight, they are on point. And once they get on point as related to their money and their mindset, they look at 60-year-old Vivica Fox and see her for the auntie and the grandma who basically is in Bust Downtown in the 95% off pile, just right down the road from Tia Mowry, who is in the 90% off pile because of the trust issues, which are the equivalent of a blown head gasket on a Range Rover, because Range Rovers, when they get the head gasket, most people just leave that thing in the junkyard, and they leave it in the junkyard because it costs more to fix than the Range Rover is worth. Now, the Range Rover is a high status vehicle, but the whole thing is people would rather just go get an Escalade that's brand new, rather with an LS engine, than deal with this whole Range Rover and this nightmare of an engine. And that's what Vivica A. Fox is to most men. Yeah, you're like this the Range Rover and the BMW that has that looks good, has a high status name, but the maintenance issues are a nightmare. And with it having previous owners means it's going to have even more baggage. So most guys, when they hear her saying, "Oh, I'm taking applications for a partner," guess what? Nobody wants to partner up with somebody who already has issues. And that's the whole thing that Vivica Fox doesn't understand. Nobody cares about your status as an actress from back in the day. Nobody cares how attractive you were in the movies back in the day. I mean, all those men have grown older and grown wiser. And as they've grown older and grown wiser, they basically see her for who she is, somebody who went out here and took her prime years and dealt with pookies, dealt with guys who basically she didn't really have a plan to work with them, could not submit to them and work with them in a relationship. And as they saw this, they still didn't see anybody who was a valuable candidate for the job of helpmeet, because Vivica Fox was all about going out here and helping herself and not looking to work with these other men. No, she wasn't looking to work with the men in her life, and she didn't really show that she could be a partner in a relationship. And no older man who's already established wants to deal with a woman who can't help them meet any needs, because Vivica Fox can't help meet any needs by the way she talks about men and talks bad about men. I mean, this was shown with the passing of Kevin Samuels. Now, I am no fan of Kevin Samuels, but he was the first to say that Vivica Fox was basically done. And when I look at Vivica Fox's background, she was done back in 2011. I mean, even before Kevin Samuels came to the air, I could tell you from the pattern of relationship, she was basically done, because she had already been somebody who had shown that she cannot work with a man because of the trust issues she had from the first failed marriage. She couldn't work and submit to a man as related to her relationships, as related to the paradigm of failure that she had basically set up. So she was basically done at this point, because at 2011, she was old and set in her ways, because she needs to be the leader in the relationship. And that shows again by that statement, I'm taking applications, like she is the one in charge of anything. When any woman who is out here looking for a partner understands that in order to be a helpmeet to a man, you have to show that you can come to the table with one intangible first and foremost, and that is respect. And Vivica Fox basically disrespects men by going out and saying she's taking applications. That entire statement right there is disrespectful, because it shows she does not respect the leadership of a man. She doesn't respect the authority of a man, and she's not serious about following the lead of a man in a relationship and serving that man. No, she's still out here, one of these feminist indoctrinated women, all about having her career and having her good time at the expense of a man, still acting like she did in her 20s, basically showing me that she's stuck in a state of arrested development. And I go in depth on this in my book, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single. I talk about how many of these women, they may be 59, 60, 30, or even 20 years old, but they still have the mental age of a 16 or 17-year-old. And that's what Vivica Fox has. She basically, at 59 going on 60 years old, is still approaching relationships from the same perspective as a teenager. And as she continues to approach relationships from the perspective of a teenager, she sadly shows us that she's grown old and sadly hasn't grown up. And that's part of a disturbing trend I'm seeing with many of these Black actresses like Tia Mowry and Halle Berry. They're still in their 50s and 40s and still trying to be girls like they were in their 20s, showing me that, yes, their bodies have aged, but they have not mentally matured, and they haven't mentally matured to understand that once you enter womanhood, it's your time to go out and support your man and your children. No, but they want to stay like they were when they were in their teen and 20s. They still want to be the hot chick, but the whole thing is Vivica Fox cooled off like ice. I mean, Vivica Fox basically cooled off a long time ago. She ain't the hot chick like she was in the 90s. No, she's ice cold, but you can't tell her that, and she's still out here trying to be the hottie. And the sad part is she doesn't understand that those days were over. And with those days over, your prospects of going out here and trying to call yourself dating at this point, I mean, it's absolutely pointless, because again, the whole point of dating, or as I call it, courtship, is about trying to find a partner for marriage so that you can build a family. But Vivica Fox is past the point of building a family. So what are you looking for a guy to put in an application for you with? Critical question I would ask Vivica Fox. I mean, why are you looking for applications for a man when you have nothing to bring to the table and you never had anything to bring to the table because you don't understand how relationships work? Because anybody who comes into a whole courtship process understands the first intangible you bring to the table is respect. And if you cannot bring respect to the table as related to that relationship, ain't nothing working from minute one. And that's the sad part about Vivica Fox, is that she grew up never understanding this principle as related to relationships. The principle for having a relationship is understanding, one, your role as related to God's order, and two, understanding you need to bring the intangible of respect to that relationship, where you're looking to respect this man, respect his work, and respect everything that he does. And again, if you cannot bring respect to the table, then you may as well not even come to the table at all. And that's where Vivica Fox had her whole foundation again messed up. She didn't understand about the concept of respect, and she didn't understand that in order to make a relationship work, you've got to respect that man and respect him to the point where you respect his time and don't waste his time with a bunch of nonsense. I mean, don't waste his time talking about, oh, I want to have some fun. I want to go out here and have a good time. No, when a man is interested in a woman, he wants to see how she is going to fit into his program. And the sad part is Vivica Fox never really wanted to fit into a program. And that was shown with the impatience she had with her first husband as related to his career, not understanding that he had run into a roadblock and was looking to get support, but all she was thinking about was getting hers. And then when he wasn't able to get out there, and because he couldn't get encouragement from her, she basically dumped this dude. Now, this dude, again, he had a setback and didn't understand how setbacks work. He didn't really understand how it worked in the world of entertainment, that setbacks just happen. And if there's a setback that happens, you got to get back up and persevere and go out here and do it again. I mean, I've had numerous setbacks, and I understand that I got to get back up again. I mean, I've had, again, books that basically got turned down from literary agents. I've had rejections as related to different projects, even lost jobs, but you still have to go out here and push and persevere. And sadly, his wife didn't encourage him. And again, that's not a good sign for Vivica Fox. I mean, if you cannot go out here and inspire and motivate a man as related to encouraging him, then you're not really a one that's ready for fit for marriage. And she said as much. She was in the marriage for the wrong reasons, because she wanted to have the man as an attachment that's related to her success. She didn't want to help that man build his own success. So she basically came into a relationship for the wrong reasons. And she's been following that paradigm of failure ever since. And now in her old age, she's still following a paradigm of failure, looking for some guy to think that she is some sort of prize that they have to go and approach by thinking, oh, I've got to show that I am qualified to be with her. Well, when it comes to a man who's established, when he looks at a woman who has been divorced, already has had multiple relationships go out here and fail, what that man is doing is going to say, okay, this woman is not a viable partner for me. She's not somebody who I would consider to be an asset. No, she's not somebody I would consider as related to a relationship. That's what a man is going to say when he looks at Vivica Fox at 59, going on 60 years old. He's going to look at this woman and see somebody who he believes is not a viable partner for him as related to the relationship, because she doesn't meet the basic qualifications for being in a relationship. That's what a man is going to look at Vivica Fox and say. I mean, he's going to look at this 59 going on 60-year-old woman and say to himself, would I see this woman as a viable partner? No, he's not going to see her as a viable partner. And he's not going to see her as a viable partner because she cannot do the basic things like show a man respect or follow his lead in a relationship. She can't do basic things. And that's the thing that's going to make her somebody that he is going to not consider when he's established and has his stuff together. Because men her age and even older, they ain't got the patience to deal with no intolerant, disrespectful woman. No, they don't have the patience to deal with an intolerant, disrespectful woman who basically cannot follow instructions, cannot follow directions, cannot go out here and basically work with a partner, and has shown in the past that she just really can go out here and be disrespectful by bad mouthing a man like the late Kevin Samuels. Basically, he's talking bad about a man who has passed away. I mean, that man looks at how he was treated and see how he will be treated in a relationship. And that's what Vivica Fox just doesn't understand. I mean, she just doesn't understand how relationships work. And because she doesn't understand how relationships work, she just goes out here disrespecting men. And again, thinks that men are just supposed to come to her in a submissive position, and believes that coming to a man in a submissive position, he's going to be out here groveling to be with her because she's so hot. But no, guys aren't checking for her like that. Aren't checking for her like that at all. Just excuse me 1 minute. I'll be right back. Just going to need a second. Well, Tackman Clan Killer, I think that she's looking for a simp that will just take care of her emotional needs. And she's looking for some guy who will give her attention. And that's what I believe she's looking for as related to a relationship. She's not really looking for a man that will basically be there for her or take care or be out here. She's looking for somebody to meet her or get attention from. She's possibly looking for a simp who will give her some money in her old age because she's basically busted. So that's basically what she's looking for as related to things and as related to guys, because she's looking for a guy to submit to her and looking for a guy to be at the bottom. Now Ninja makes a point. He says, since this bus down come with benefits, it doesn't come with any benefits. And again, bus downtown is where women go when they can't find any other options. And when it comes to Vivica Fox, she's basically out of options at this point. And she's out of options at this point because she basically blew it. And again, blew it in her prime years by getting involved with the wrong guys. And now she's thinking that the right guys are going to come along, but the right guys aren't coming along anymore because the right guys have basically have already got the women they want to get with, and they have no interest in getting with Vivica Fox. I mean, at this point, Vivica Fox basically is at the end of a rope, but you still have a lot of these women like Vivica Fox still thinking that they still are the young hotties they were when they were in their 20s, but that time in their life is over, and they have a hard time accepting that that time in her life is over. I mean, usually when women get at Vivica Fox's age, this is where you really start thinking about your whole spiritual life and where you're focusing on the kingdom and focusing on getting your children right. But when you're indoctrinated into feminism, all you have is your career. But sadly, Vivica doesn't even have that much of a career at this point. She's basically done at this point. And with her being done at this point, she's basically out here trying to get something going as related to jumpstarting attention for herself, but that chance is going to be slim to none because she's no longer, again, the young hottie. She's basically old grandma in the house coat and the slippers, and ain't nobody checking for her, not even Romy Rome, because Romy Rome is looking to get better options as related to offering up his two-piece chicken dinner or his shrimp fried rice and chicken wings or his other things that he offers as related to meals. I mean, he can go get them White Castles and offer them up to a younger hottie and get a better deal. So nobody's looking for Vivica Fox at this point, but she wants us to believe that she's still a prize, wants us to still believe that she is a prize that people can go out here and need to put in an application for. Well, she's basically like the McDonald's or the Wendy's. I'm not even going to say fat food. She's basically like the Arab red and white chicken place of women, thinking people go to apply for this job when nobody's applying for that job because the job don't pay well, the benefits aren't that great, and the whole job itself is terrible. So guys ain't really looking to pay for no Vivica Fox. No, they're not looking to pay for Vivica Fox and bust downtown at full price. And that's what Vivica Fox believes. She believes she's still going to get full price as related to her. But the whole thing is, ain't nobody looking to pay no full price for no bus down when there are better options in bus downtown in the 50, 60, 70, even 80% off sections of bus downtown. I mean, there are bus downs coming in every day. I mean, nobody's paying full price for a bus down. Nobody's coming to there to pay full price on a 60-year-old woman when there are 30, 40, and even 50-year-old women out here who offer far better for a guy. I mean, nobody's paying that kind of price for a Vivica Fox, but she wants us to believe that she's still able to compete in the social marketplace. Well, nobody's interested in buying what she has to offer. Nobody's interested in taking an application and looking to be a simp under her, hoping that they can get a sniff of the atomic waste from the special place when there are other options that guys can have with women who will basically go out here and want to get with them and offer them far more. I mean, when I look at Vivica Fox and I listen to her as related to that box and that broken 89 Yugo of herself, I mean, she's like, oh, I want somebody who's going to be fun. I want somebody who's not intimidated by who and what I am. Well, most guys don't care about Vivica Fox at this point. I mean, they cared about her in the 90s when she was in the magazines, but not even that much. And she's sitting there after having to deal with competition like Halle Berry and Tyra Banks and all these people, still think back then and didn't win the game then and still trying to make it where she can compete now. And again, still sitting there thinking that she's still got a shot. Well, again, nobody at this point really is interested in her at this point. I mean, nobody wants to be the girlfriend of a 60-year-old woman. Again, that shows how immature she is, talking about she wants to be somebody to be her girlfriend at 60 years old. I mean, that really shows how immature she is, because most women, once they turn about 18 or 19 years old, they're thinking about marriage. They're thinking about a serious relationship, and they're thinking about getting married because that's their goal for a relationship, is to get married. Their goal is to go out here and find a husband. Their goal isn't to go out and be somebody's girlfriend. I talked about this in a previous live stream where I talked about the forever girlfriend. I mean, the forever girlfriend is a thing that many feminist indoctrinated women buy into because they don't really want to buy into marriage because they're afraid of submitting to the authority of a man. So what they do is go out and try to be the forever girlfriend because they don't want to make the commitment of marriage, and they don't want to make the commitment of marriage because what they want to do is stay a girlfriend forever. But that just shows how they just want to grow old and don't want to grow up. And again, no man wants to be a forever boyfriend or forever girlfriend because they want to build a legacy and they want to build a family, and they want to be able to do these things. But when you have women who are indoctrinated into feminism, what they want to do is, again, stay forever young, even though they're getting older. And that's what they want to do. And that's what, sadly, Vivica Fox wants to do. She wants to still go out here and still be like she was when she was young, not understanding that, yeah, you're getting older. And as you get older, your life is going to change. And again, your life is going to change in ways that you have to be getting ready for the end of life. And again, once you get into this age range that I'm in right now, you have to be thinking about your legacy, and you have to be thinking about starting to lay the foundation for your life in the next world of the kingdom. I mean, you have to be thinking about what you want to establish as related to your later life. And sadly, what's the sad part about Vivica Fox is she hasn't thought about her life as related to the spiritual with God. She hasn't thought about her life in the next world as related to God and her relationship with God. No, she's still trying to live life like a teenager, still trying to live life like a child, has grown old but hasn't grown up. And it's sad to see a 60-year-old woman still talking about partying, still talking about finding a guy to have fun, because an older man is not thinking about going out here and partying and having fun. He's thinking about building at this point and making sure that whatever he has built is in good hands so that he can prepare the next generation to take it on. I mean, that's what a person thinks about when they are mature. But sadly, when you're dealing with an immature woman like Vivica Fox, I mean, that's what happens to her, is that she's sitting there talking about partying and dating. I mean, it's basically an 18-year-old in a 60-year-old body. And that's the most embarrassing thing. She hasn't grown in any stage in her life as related to the last 40 years. And in the last 40 years, sadly, she has not really changed. And that's the saddest part about Vivica Fox. I mean, she's gotten older, but she's still immature. And again, still acting like a teenager instead of a grown woman, still acting like she's 20 when she's 60. And it's really embarrassing to watch this woman like this because she's just an old chicken head. And again, an old chicken head with her head in the sand. That is the saddest part about Vivica Fox. I mean, I wouldn't touch this woman with a 10-foot pole, Scrooge McDuck. No, wouldn't touch this woman at all because this woman is not fit to be a partner in a relationship. She's a follower and not a leader. She's a follower who basically doesn't understand anything as related to building. I mean, she's just all immature and just childish, doesn't understand how relationships work, and doesn't know how to work with a man. And when I look at Vivica Fox, she's a textbook example of a woman in crisis that I talk about in my book, The Woman Crisis, and a textbook example of the 70% of Black women who will be single for the rest of their lives. Now, I'm going to get ready to wrap up tonight's stream, and I want everybody to help me get the first paperback and ebook sale for the month of June, because I have all 4 of the books of the SJS Direct 2024 catalog available right now. I mean, I have Isis Dark Incubus, which is available right now in paperback and Kindle format. And I also have John Haynes' Illuminati, which is available in paperback and Kindle format, Esteemed Horror in the Hamptons, and Isis Amari's Revenge. And you get all 4 of these books that are part of the SJS Direct 2024 catalog on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find all 4 of these books at other online booksellers like Draft to Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And you can also find the 2 books I talked about, The Woman Crisis and Why 70% of Black Women Are Single, on Amazon.com as well. And you can find those books and they can help you be able to break out of the paradigm of failure that Vivica Fox is currently in. And hopefully, if you get this book before you get her age, you can find a quality husband and have a very fulfilling relationship and have the abundant life that Christ wants to give you as related to a relationship. If you read these books, maybe you can break out of that paradigm and not wind up getting caught up in feminism the way Vivica Fox wound up getting caught up in it. And maybe you can go on to find that quality partner and be a help. And if you're a woman, be a helpmeet to that partner and have that man and help that man meet his needs and have a satisfying relationship. And I want to thank everybody for coming out to tonight's stream. And if you guys could continue to support the channel by dropping a donation to the PayPal or the Cash App, that would be greatly appreciated because that helps me to be able to stay on the air. And it helps me to be able to stay on the air, continuing to make more content like these live streams and many of the videos I produce. And every donation that you drop to the Cash App or the PayPal is used to do things like pay for the internet, be able to buy comics for review, and also be able to buy equipment like the new tripod I just bought, and help me to be able to go out here and continue to put on more live streams and be able to share content with you. So I'm going to give everybody a shout out before I go out. I mean, Nightingale Wednesday Nightmare, glad to see you here. Glad to see you here. Miller James, Ryan James, glad to see you here. Creole Lady 182, Ryan, One Full Boss, good evening. Glad to see you here. D-Wood 78 Part 2, glad to see you here. Forrest McLeod, what's going on? Tackman Clarence Killer, glad to see you here. Curtis H, glad to see you here. Human Vegetable, glad to see you here. Dr. X, Mr. Unique 74, Head Ninja, what's going on? Educated Limo Bravo, glad to see you here. Rock Fresh, glad to see you here. Z Ken, glad to see you here. Orlando Body Sculpting, glad to see you here. Scrooge McKenna, glad to see you here. Kishel, glad to see you here. Just want everybody to know, everybody have a good evening and everybody have a good night. Thank you all for coming out tonight. I hope you'll be here for next week's stream. I mean, I've done 2 live streams today, so you got a double feature. If you guys would check out the Donald Trump live stream, it came on earlier, but I did 2 streams today, and I hope you'll be here for next week's stream. Everybody have a good evening, and everybody